everybody. God bless you all. Dios les bendiga. Again, I have been putting off my testimony. There's just a lot of things that the Lord and I are working through right now, but God has been pushing me to spread this message, and this is something I will not put off. So here we go. And this is a topic that I will share with anybody, but it is so important that I get it out. And I have my handy dandy Bible with me. So I don't know how many of you out there are parents, or how many of you out there know parents. Perhaps you are still living with your own, who may not be so warm and fuzzy. And that is putting it lightly, because I certainly was blessed with a very loving family, and I am forever grateful for that. But I know so many people who do not get the kind of love I got growing up, and it's so sad. And a lot of times when parents feel that their child is doing something that they don't approve of, they often look at the Bible verse Ephesians 6, verse 1 and 2, which is telling children to honor their mother and father. However, in all of that, they skip a very important verse in Ephesians 6, and I just want to share it with you. I'll read it in Spanish first, and I'll give the translation because I do not have my English Bible with me at the moment. Ephesians 6:4, Efesios 6, versículo 4. Y vosotros, padres, no provoquéis a ira a vuestros hijos, sino criadlos en disciplina y amonestación del Señor. And what this is saying in English is, and you parents, do not provoke your children to anger. That is the translation in the King James Bible. And so what that is saying is quite literally what I just said. And you may think, well, what do you mean don't provoke my children to anger? They provoke me to anger. Hold on just a minute. Children are children. And I'm sure if you're a parent and you're listening, when you were a child, you made mistakes. But parenting has sort of evolved as time goes on, and things that may have been acceptable back when you were a child wouldn't be considered acceptable now. And certainly in the eyes of God, what you may have been through probably wouldn't be acceptable, because there's a very bold line between discipline and abuse. Because discipline is when you are correcting your child. Abuse is when you are hurting them excessively. And you may think, I'm not abusing my child, I'm disciplining them, I'm showing them that what they're doing is wrong. Okay, but how are you doing that? How? And think in the lines of, would Jesus do that? Would Jesus do that? And this is something that not a lot of parents think about, and even Christian parents don't think about it sometimes, and it makes me so sad, because I know so many Christian parents who do not follow in the ways of Jesus when it comes to their kids. Children will make mistakes. Children will do things you don't approve of, but it's how you react to it that defines what they do in the future, right? And if you do not show them what Jesus' love looks like, what God's love looks like, they're not going to want to follow him. It's as simple as that. If you make them feel that they are no good and that God will never love them, they're going to say, well, I'm too far gone. No point in trying anymore. And I've seen this with so many people I know, personal friends of mine, and it breaks my heart. And no child should go through abuse. No adult should go through abuse, because unfortunately, there are many families where they have adult children that still live with their parents, and they still go through what they went through growing up. And it's sad. It's heartbreaking. And a lot of parents, when they are frustrated with their children, they will yell and scream and hit. And I've heard some horror stories, especially from my closest friends, and it's so heartbreaking. But oftentimes, especially if you have a teenager and you start yelling at your teenager, 9 times out of 10, your teenager will yell back. And at that point, you are just prodding at them. And there comes a point in time where you have to stop, right? Because let's say you have an older child, right? Not quite an adult, but not quite a kid anymore. And you ask your child to do something. Let's say they're not particularly comfortable with it, like going to get something by themselves for the first time. Maybe it's not their first time. Maybe they've had a bad experience, you know? At that point, if they say, but this happened the last time I tried to do this, some parents, and I'm using context of a past story I heard, but I'm not giving details, that parent might say, well, come on, you're old enough now to do this. You've already said your piece. Don't say any more than that. I'm begging of you. That is where you've already said, okay, I feel that you're old enough to do this now. You should be able to do this now. That's where you stop. If you go any further, you are just provoking your child. And it can turn into bullying. And sometimes family can be the biggest bully in our lives, and it's just not right. Jesus wouldn't do that. Jesus wouldn't want you to do that. Children are a blessing from God. They are a blessing, whether they are your own child or you adopted that child. They are a blessing. And if you are treating them like they are anything less than a blessing, you need to open your Bible. Yelling at them consistently, hitting them, abusing them, that's not following the Bible. That's not following Jesus. So if you feel that your child is doing something that is wrong, open up to Ephesians 6. And don't just look at verses 1 and 2. Because I think it gives some great insight to parents. And I may not be a parent myself yet, but I plan to be. I plan to be a mom one day. And, you know, my grandparents and my mom, they set such great examples of what it means to raise your children properly and let the child know when they're wrong, but also to recognize when they're wrong, you know? So I pray for anyone who is dealing with abuse in their homes, who is dealing with parents who are not following in the steps of Jesus. And I pray that those people, those children, those adults can find peace in God, because He is our guiding light. God bless you all. Dios les bendiga. And I will see you all very soon.